Hey, what's going on, guys? FlynnMasters coming at you with another video, and I'll be continuing on with my chef ranking series, this time ranking every season 2 contestant based on how much I like them as a character and what they add to the season as a whole. So yeah, let's start off right away with my least favorite chef of the season, and that still does remain Virginia. And again, I know it's very unfair, I'll admit, as it's mostly her making the finale that I just could not take, and literally taints the prestige of the finale to this day. But I mean, even despite that, I didn't say this when I did my a least favorite chef video, but I don't know, there's just something about Virginia that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know, there's just something about, maybe not even rubbed me the wrong way, there's just something off about her. I don't know. So yeah, I'll admit it is definitely unfair, but Virginia is my least favorite chef of season 2. Now on to my second least favorite chef, and most people's least favorite chef this season, with that being Sara. And honestly, probably the first true hated chef in Hell's Kitchen history for a very good reason. Like, being a complete ass to the likes of Heather and Rachel for no reason, who are obviously massive fan favorites, sabotaging Virginia in episode 4. And the thing is, like, despite making it to the final 4, she was an awful chef who could not back up the talk. Seemed incredibly jealous of the other girls for some reason, and just an awful all-around person. But at least I know it has nothing to do with her, but at least she didn't freaking ruin the prestige of finale. So that's the sole reason why she's not my least favorite chef of the season. At number 10 is Garrett, and while I don't think he's a terrible black jacket chef like other people claim, because you gotta remember the competition gets tough right away in these early seasons with small cast. But as a character, he is pretty freaking awful. Obviously, mostly with the sexist comments towards the girls and Heather specifically, and in general having a pretty nasty attitude at times, which, to be fair, could just be his nature, but that's still no excuse for sexism. At number 9 is a forgotten donkey in Giacomo, and that's the thing, while he may not be as mean as the other donkey above him, at least that person is a bit more memorable. Where Giacomo is one of those odd chefs where, like, yeah, he's a goofball, but he's not too much of a donkey to where he's super memorable, like, especially in this all-time bad season. So, even if it's for bad reasons, like, if you're gonna stand out, you got to stand out in some way, even if it's for bad reasons. And Giacomo just doesn't do that for me. So speaking of that chef above Giacomo, he's arguably the worst chef of this all-time bad season, with that being Tom. But again, that's exactly why I have him relatively high, because, you know, he did say some bad things. Of course, freaking saying he could take Ramsay one-on-one. Like, come on, it's so pathetic. But as a chef, him being so constantly bad and completely breaking Ramsay over and over again, like, at least does make for entertaining TV. So I have to give him a bit of credit there. And another thing, he truly did not give up despite getting his ass kicked, which I do respect. So, I mean, I cannot argue with anyone who has him a lot lower. But with him actually being a complete donkey and showing a bit of fight, you know, that's enough to get him, again, relatively high here at number 8. This next chef might surprise some of you, as he's arguably the most forgettable chef of the season. But at number 7, I do have Gabe. And again, really bad chef, really boring personality. But to me, he's memorable in the fact that he's the first chef to be nominated and eliminated by Ramsay without nomination from his teammates. So again, in my mind, it kind of represents the change of the show for the better. And again, Ramsay turning this, you know, the game show version we saw in season 1 into his own show, the show that still remains to this day, right? And, you know, not caring about the rules, doing whatever he wants to do, right? So I know kind of an unfair thing, as Gabe is this high for being in the right place at the right time, or in his case, the wrong place at the wrong time. But again, he does kind of represent a positive thing to me. On to the top half of the list now, and I somehow have Larry at number 6. And yeah, another memorable chef for all the wrong reasons, as he was the first ever medevac in the show's history. But again, that does kind of prove to me and the viewers just how hard the show can be, so that's something. And he did have his funny moments, like dancing a bit after Ramsay called him out for doing nothing in the kitchen, admitting his downfall as women and yet getting into the hot tub with them, you know. So I would love to see what else he could have provided had he made it a bit farther this season, but just wasn't meant to be. On to the top 5 now, and once again, I somehow have Maribel in the top 5, who's literally, in my opinion, the most forgettable chef of the season. But like, at least she showed some talent and probably deserved a black jacket. It was like a totally fine character, and, you know, or at least a totally fine person, not the most exciting character. So like, while in most cases I wouldn't like this, I'm sure I'd have her like a lot lower on most seasons. In a season like this with so many bad chefs and like so many bad personalities, her being a decent chef and a fine person is a good enough combo to land her spot in my top 5. At number 4 now is actually the first boot of the season, with that of course being Polly. And I've said before, Polly is one of the best first boots ever, and in my opinion, the first true donkey in the show's history. I mean, it was just so hilarious how out of the element she was. Like, literally smiling to Ramsay when saying her dish wasn't done. Like, Ramsay being ruthless to her all episode, which even included her elimination quote. Just hilarious TV. Again, an iconic first boot. On to the top 3 now, who I'm sure is most people's top 3, and it's just a matter of ordering them, with Rachel in the end coming in here at number 3. And Rachel's one of those rare badass chicks who like never gave up no matter how tough the competition was for her. And you know, of course, she's most remembered for her awesome friendship with Heather. And in general, Rachel getting eliminated was a turning point for Heather's story. You know, she offered herself up for elimination and over Virginia in episode 4 after that all-time bad service. Totally respect that. The first person to ever do that. Even had her own flashback package despite not earning a black jacket. Again, the first person ever. Just goes to show how great of a character she was. So, but to me, just not as good as the top 2. And onto the top 2. And I actually did change my order here compared to my favorite chefs video, as I do have Keith as my second favorite chef of the season now compared to my favorite. And like I said in my favorite chefs video, Keith was my favorite chef for a long time, but after rewatching this season to do Heather's story, I've just simply grown to respect Heather so much. So, but nonetheless, Keith was still obviously a badass and one of the only good chefs this season, along with Heather, who absolutely deserved to be in the finale along with her. And the thing is, despite seeming like such a goofball early on, and you know, to be fair, did show some attitude at the end, but despite all those negative traits, like, the dude was as chill as could be. Again, one of those rare gentle giant archetypes that I really like in Hell's Kitchen. So yeah, I love Keith for sure. It's just not in good faith for me though to have him as number 1. But as mentioned, I cannot deny anymore, Heather is my favorite chef from season 2. As again, a big reason why I rooted for Keith over her was due to just how obvious her win was. But like, I can't help but respect her story nowadays. Like, Liddy staying up to the boys after their sexist comments, only to get switched to the blue team and take over that kitchen anyway. Having a standout performance at the Final 4 after being in potential trouble, wanting to stay in the kitchen after she burned her hand. Like, you pretty much knew she was winning at that point, you know. Just in general, a complete badass chef. Heather is my favorite chef now of season 2. So there you have it, guys. My ranking of every season 2 Hell's Kitchen contestants. Let me know your rankings of this cast in the comments below, and be sure to hit that subscribe and like button to support the channel. And until next time, have a good one, guys.